Welcome to Le Bureau in the Basement. My name is Brooke, and here I am beginning my Magic Circle mat workout with some squats. I'm holding the circle in between the heels of my hands, fingers long, wrists long, spine long as I hinge at my hips, draw my seat back, and then press to a nice lifted posture. After a few of those, I add a little tendon stretch. I rise up on the balls of my 10 toes, feel that energy rise into the floor of my pelvis and up through the roof of my mouth, crown of my head. Just a nice warm up here. And then I'm just going to hold the circle by my chest, giving it a little squeeze with the heels of my hands from my armpit chest every time I rise up on my toes. And then I'm going to take it into a nice simple march, walk here, noticing I'm keeping my hips nice and level, stable as I take my march, giving that squeeze of the circle to enhance my hand-back connection. Now I'm going to place a circle between the shins and continue with some balance work. Balancing on my left leg, I'm going to squeeze the circle using my upper inner thighs, thinking of pulling that circle right up through the floor of my pelvis. Transitioning to my right foot, again trying to keep my hips level, stable. Feeling that connection from my feet all the way up to my seat, pelvic floor. Then taking the circle to the side of my hip, and then I squeeze the circle from my back, from my armpit chest, enhancing my side waist, my oblique muscles, also my armpit chest area, my tricep, bicep, that whole upper body. Then I'm going to hold on to the circle behind me. I'm going to just take a moment and reach the circle behind me a couple times, enhancing a stretch through my chest, collarbones are wide. And then keeping the circle back, I give it a little squeeze a couple times. Then I'm going to have a seat around my back and reach the arms up and overhead, trying to keep that lift of the circle as I come back to a standing position. Such a great stretch for the whole back body. Really trying to round my back in that position. Try one more here. Really round, lift my spine. Yeah, release my head, neck, and then I'll press to a stand. And open my chest. Find a little stretch in my upper spine now. Take a little back bend. Keep neutral pelvis, grounded feet, open heart. And release that. And I'll hold on to the circle with the heels of my hands again. Gently lower all the way down to my mat. Continuing with the circle in between my upper inner thighs, hands behind my two thighs. I'm just going to give that squeeze of the circle a couple times again, just to enhance my connection. Feet to thighs, to pelvis, all the way to tip of my head. Then continue with some rollbacks, some half rollbacks. I always find a hinge to begin, just so I can sense the length of my whole spine from my pelvis to the roof of my head. And then in that length, I find a long capital C. I'm going to keep my capital C, and I'm going to pulse up and down, squeezing that circle a little bit more as I exhale, roll up a couple vertebrae, and then inhale, release the circle as I lengthen back down. Sort of like Pilates abdominal crunches here. Really keeping that connection from the feet up into the inner thighs. Now changing the circle to the heels, right between my inner heels. Continuing with some roll-ups. I'm going to set my frame, nod my chin, round my spine as I roll up and over. Keep my round as I articulate all the way back down. Really being mindful to articulate my spine bone by bone, vertebra by vertebra. Again, just keeping enough squeeze in that circle to build connection. The purpose of the circle is not to squeeze it to death. It's just to help you build connection, like any relationship. Holding onto the circle now with the heels of my hands. I'll inhale, pull the circle down, exhale, reach the circle up, right up above my armpit chest. Notice the circle doesn't go on top of my throat. And then I'm going to reach the circle overhead and then all the way back down to my chest. So accent that reach overhead. Being mindful not to let the back lift off the mat as those arms reach overhead. primarily those bottom back ribs. Circle in between your shins. Now we're getting ready for the 100. I'm going to point flex my feet. Squeeze the circle a couple times, enhancing again, just connection, feet to pelvis, all the way to the tips of my hands as my arms reach overhead. And then I'm going to reach my arms up and back down, curl my spine up into my 100 and pump my arms, 10 full breaths here. Every exhale, I give that circle a little squeeze as if I'm pulling the circle all the way into my floor, my pelvis, up through the roof of my mouth. Finding that connection at my center, I stretch my arms strong out of my upper back. I reach my legs long and soft. Limbs reaching in opposition for my spine, lengthening up the mat in opposition. Keep the breath strong, really focusing on exhaling all the air out. Taking the circle out, progressing to the 100. I'm going to inhale, lift my head, exhale, C-curve my spine up and over. Keep the reach as I inhale, roll back, exhale, stretch long. Inhale, exhale, up and over. Inhale, articulate low spine, exhale, nice and long. Notice how I keep my knees bent, my heels grounded. That helps me stay connected to my seat, feet to my seat, trying to keep that awareness in my whole body. So as I articulate my spine down and up, my legs are also participating to help me articulate. Lengthening, broadening my back with each repetition. Now I'll take the circle in between the shins, right below my ankles, hold on to my handles, and progress into the roll over. I'm going to squeeze the circle, lift up and over, tap my toes, flex my feet, squeeze the circle, roll down. Again, I'm going to lift up to go over, tap, squeeze, exhale, articulate bone by bone. And I lengthen and deepen with each repetition. Opening my back. I lift up to go over, squeeze a circle, stretch my spine, and roll down bone by bone. I'll take the circle out now, lowering one leg down and right into the leg circles. I'm going to inhale, cross my right leg cross middle, exhale, float it up. Standing left leg super strong and long. Again, the circle stays right above my armpit chest. I have this variation with my arms now. As my leg circles away, I bend my elbows and pull the circle to me. And enhance the reach forward with the arms as I pull my waistline back. I'll give my calf hamstring a little stretch, pointing, flexing my foot. Find that leverage down into the circle to reach my heel up. Keep my point, and like the tree pose, I'm going to roll my spine up, hinge at my hips, and lift my spine. Then articulate back down, take a nice supine splits. I'm going to do one more just because it feels so good. Lift tall, elbows wide, shoulders back, and then articulate back down, supine split. And I'm going to change legs. Circle across the middle as I inhale. Exhale, squeeze the circle belly to back to float the leg up. Trying to create more width, more space, more length in my pelvis, front and back, side to side with each leg circle. Notice I have this variation again. I bend my elbows as I circle my leg away from me. And then I exhale, catch my leg as I reach the arms up. Pull my waist ribs back. Even the upper throat sternum stays broad on the mat. Then I'm going to go into my tree pose, starting with the stretch, circle in the ball mounds of those toes. I'm going to flex, point, really sense the back of the thigh and the front of the thigh, how the foot really connects up into the pelvis. Hinging, lifting, broadening, and then articulating bone by bone to go down. Take one more time, nodding my chin, lifting up, extending my body, and then articulating to go back down. Feels so good. One more to go. Lifting, growing, and then both legs in for a variation like a teaser stretch. Both legs up, folding in half. Feels so good. What a fun balance. I'll try one more. Elbows wide, shoulders back. Trying to get my legs to be as vertical as I possibly can. So much work, so much balance. Coordinating the stretch with the strength. And then I'll stay seated, circle between my shin bones, and continue rolling like a ball. Releasing my head. Inhaling to roll back, exhaling to roll up. I give this circle a little squeeze as I come up. That allows me to come up and balance on my sweet spot between my sit bones and tailbone. Trying to keep my pubic bone light, my sacrum releasing in the back. Trying to enhance my long capital C from the back pelvis to the back of my skull. Elbows are wide, shoulders are back. I'm going to hold on to the circle, find my teaser, and then gently roll down to the base of my scapula and do my series of 5 here, starting with a single leg pull. Again, every time I pull the knee in, I give that circle a little squeeze from my armpit chest. And I can add this variation here, reaching my arms overhead, trying to enhance my length, being careful not to let those ribs fly off the mat as I reach my arms overhead. Progressing with a double leg pull. I have the circle in between the heels of my hands. And I reach my arms and legs in opposition from my middle, lengthening my spine through my arms, reaching my legs out of my way. I'm going to rest my head, stretch my legs up, and take a scissor. So I'm going to curl my spine up again and split my legs. I do a double pulse here. I pulse, trying to kick the shin to the circle. Another variation on scissors. I'm meeting my legs at a 45-degree angle from my hips and then splitting the legs from that 45-degree angle. I'm also challenging my powerhouse by reaching my arms overhead as I scissor the legs. Continuing with a double leg lower and lift. I'm going to lace my hands behind my head, point lengthen through my 10 toes, lift my head up and lengthen to go up. Keeping my middle super strong. My legs are a big lever, so I have to really contain my waistline, brace my whole spine from the bottom of my pelvis to the top of my throat. Again, gently squeezing in that circle gives me a bit more connection to connect my 2 legs all the way up into my pelvis. Now hug my knees in, has a lot in my hip flexors. Now I'm going to continue with crisscross. Knees at tabletop. To start, hands laced behind my head. I'm taking a moment to breathe here, and then I'm going to rotate left and rotate right. Legs stretch long when I curl up in the middle, and then I'll bend my knees as I rotate. Trying to keep lifting my chest even as I come up through the middle. Elbows are wide, chest is open. And then I rock and roll up to seated, continue with my spine stretch forward. Getting my thighs out of my way, floating my arms right above my armpits. I'm going to nod my chin and exhale, spine stretch forward. Inhale, re-extend. Exhale, squeeze a circle, spine stretch forward. Inhale, re-extend. Keeping a strong reach forward helps me gather my waistline deeper into my back. I'm really pulling back, finding an oppositional reach. My waistline draws in and back, my inner thighs zip up in the middle. And I'm going to hold on to my feet for one final stretch here. Backs to the heels, releasing my head, and then restack my spine. Drawing my seat under me, taking the circle between my shin bones, right below my ankles. I'm going to continue with open leg rocker. Inhale to go back. Exhale, squeeze a circle coming up. Trying to find that articulation in my spine. Trying to find a little bit more lift as I come up, pulling my head out of my shoulders, keeping my thighs reaching away. Find another teaser here, and then I'm going to articulate with control to go down, hands on the handles, anchor my back, point my toes, and I'm going to continue with the corkscrew, lifting up, tapping my toes, rolling down the right side of my spine, circling the legs around and up on my left. Tap, roll down the left side, circle around and up on my right. Such a beautiful massage for your spine. Trying to get broader and bigger with each repetition. My toes stay pointed, my legs stay long. Really trying to articulate best I can. I'm going to rock and roll back up to seated for my saw. I'm going to hold on to the circle now. Get the flesh of my thighs out of my way to clearly feel my two sit bones. I'm going to rotate right and reach my arms as I spine stretch forward over my right leg. Rotate left and reach my arms forward as I pull back on my left waist. Notice a little shifting of my hips. As I rotate left, my left hip slides back, my right hip slides forward. So allow my sacrum to be part of the rotation. As I rotate right, my right hip shifts back a bit. So I'm not overly stretching that sacrum area. My pelvis is part of the spine. And I'm going to zip my legs together, reach forward to go back. I'm going to rotate over onto my stomach, continue with some extensions, starting with swan and swan dive. Taking a moment, set up, shoulders back, curl up, inhale, exhale, gently lower back down. Again, emphasize the shoulders staying lifted. You want to keep those shoulders on your back, not drooping down. Keep reaching energy through your legs. Point your toes, firm your kneecaps, lengthen through all sides of your legs. I take a moment here to lengthen one side at a time. And I'm going to hold on to the circle. I'm going to press down, lift up, inhale. And then exhale, reach my arms forward as I lower down my chest and lift my legs up like in one piece. Chest down, thighs up, arms reaching forward and up. Beautiful opening in the whole front spine. Pause in my extension, grow my posture, open my chest, gazes up, and lengthen to go back down. Continue a single leg kick, holding onto the circle between my forearms. Find some good connection from my hands to my elbows, my scapula, into my mid-waist, back. And like a hamstring curl, I kick my heel 2 times into my seat. Notice my hips stay grounded. My abdomen's still hugging my spine. My chest is tug-of-warring open. The front of my rib cage is anchoring down to give me leverage to hug my stomach muscles in and up. My thighs are together. Transitioning to double leg kick. 3 times I kick heels to glutes, reach my arms back and curl up into a nice extension. Notice my elbows drop down, my back opens here, and now, contrast to that, shoulders drop on my back as I open my chest. So my front spine lengthens, lifts, and then my back spine gets a nice opening here. Removing the circle, pressing myself up and back, quick little child's pose to stretch out my back. Continuing with the thigh stretch. I'm going to reach my arms forward as I hinge back from the tops of my thighs. Reaching my arms forward as I hinge back. Reaching my arms up as I come back to vertical. Visualize that circle as a crown, and I'm going to pull from the floor of my pelvis up to the roof of my mouth and shoot energy out through that circle. Getting taller and longer. I'm going to have a seat, turn around for the neck pull. I'm going to slip that circle right between the inner heels. Place my hands behind my head, lift tall, hinge back, squeeze a circle to articulate all the way down, bone by bone. Nod my chin, inhale, exhale, round to come up. Restack my spine, lift to hinge back, squeeze, articulate bone by bone to go down. Such a challenging exercise. A few more here. Keep growing, keep lifting. That's the fun about Pilates, is you're just building off of each repetition. You never start over. It's always a continuation. Trying to connect to that center line. Continuing with the jackknife. So I'm just adjusting that circle in between my inner shins, right below my ankles, holding on to my handles. I'm going to point my 10 toes, pelvic tilt to lift up, and then unfold at the hip crease, reach my toes right over my nose, and articulate down from that angle. Such a demanding exercise. Being sure not to overflex the neck, keep the chin up, base of the skull grounded, and feel that articulation. You want to keep standing in your legs, keep the reach up through your feet as you articulate down. So push up, reach up as you articulate longer to go down. Head pulling out of the pelvis in opposition to the legs reaching in opposition. Cinching my waist, not overflexing my neck, growing tall, and rolling back down. I'll take the circle out now, rock and roll to seated, and set up for the twist. Holding on to the circle, lifting up, and then rotating right, center, and then rotating left. Do a little pulse here, about 3 pulses. I exhale, right, 2, 3, center, full breath in, and exhale, left, 2, 3, inhale, full breath, center. Again, notice the slight shifting back of my hip. When I rotate left, my left hip shifts back. When I rotate right, the right hip shifts back. I'll articulate my spine all the way down. Ground my 2 feet. Pelvic tilt, lift my hips up. And I'm ready for bridge pose. Rolling back down so I can lift my hips up, back, and over, setting up for scissors and bicycle. So really taking a moment here to open up my chest, anchor my shoulders, keep my chin up so I'm not over flexing. And I'm going to support my low back pelvis, sacrum with my 2 hands, elbows hug in. And then I'm going to split my legs long and away from one another. One leg goes toward my face, one leg reaches away. Trying to keep my legs working evenly, knowing that the leg that comes toward my face, it's easier for that leg to collapse down. So trying to keep that side of the pelvis lifted. I'm doing my bicycle. Now I'm reversing my bicycle, full range of motion, always sensing that split that I started with. Find evenness as I work through my legs. I'll bend my knees, plant my 2 feet back down, and I'm set once again for bridge pose. Taking a moment to lift my hips up a little bit higher, open up across my chest, elbows rooting down, and then shoulder bridge. 3 times I kick my one leg up and back down. You can point flex the foot, whatever feels good. Other side. With my hands supporting the back of my hips, I can keep my hips nice and level. I'm not letting that hip drop down with my foot. And if it's in your practice, you can plant your hands behind you, fingers face your shoulders, anchor the shoulders, lift your chest, and lift yourself up into a nice high wheel pose. Just a few breaths here. Trying to draw the chest through your shoulders, lengthening through your neck, resting through your toes, then rolling back down to the base of the skull and all the way down. Continuing now with some side kicks. Shoulders stacking on top of one another, hips on top of one another, bottom waist obliques lifted. And I'll just start by pressing down on the circle to connect my hand into my back. My top leg is going to swing forward and swing back. As I swing it back, I press down on the circle to find more stability in my middle. Now I'm going up and back down, trying to find that hinge in my hip so I'm not shortening that top waist as I kick my foot up. Keep the neck releasing and lengthening. I'll take some circles, pressing down on the circle again to provide stability in my middle, bottom waistline. Continuing with bicycle, sweep forward, bend my knee, draw the thigh back. And then a stacking and reverse, sweep, bend, and cycle forward. Sweep, bend, find that hamstring curl. And rond de jambe. Big circles, as big as you can manage. Keep using your stomach's waistline to lift that thigh up. Feel the movement of the whole thigh into the hip. Before side 2, I'm just going to go on my waistline, coming prone, just do a set of beats, opening, closing my legs, keeping my forehead down, abdomen deep. Maybe lifting my chest up for the second round, feeling my whole posterior chain. And then I'll slide onto my other side. Again, making sure that circle, once again, is not in front of your throat or head, but it's right out of your armpit chest. Circles should be right in front of your waistline. That will help you keep your shoulder anchored and on your back, not floating up by your ear. Bottom waistline is lifted as you go forward and back. Pressing down in the circle to give you more stability. Press down to lengthen that top leg nice and long. Finding that hinge in your hip. Circles. Find that circle behind as much as the circle in front. Feeling the back of your hamstring, then continuing with your bicycle. Really trying to keep that connection, foot to seat, seat to spine, all the way to the tip crown of your head. Sometimes we lose that connection, especially when we're lying on our side. So feel that air as you move your leg in space. Feel the back of it, the front of it, the inner, the outer. Notice what parts are hard for you to sense. Keep connecting your hand into your back using that circle by pressing down into it. And now continuing with some teasers, I'll place a circle in between my shin bones, right below my ankle. I'll bend my knees, reach my arms, up and over, stretch, and then on my chin and exhale, drive through my legs. I lift my spine up and articulate my spine down, back to tabletop. On my chins and rise up. Feel my lift. Feel that open leg rocker without having to hold on to your shins. Strong middle, easy hip flexors. Feel that inner body. And now just lower lifting those legs. That's hard. Pause there, lift up, and then roll everything down. Float my arms on my chin. Back to my tabletop to give me a little support, and then roll back down. Here's Pepper. Got one more. Peeling up, lifting up. Ooh, and I'm going to hold on to my legs, and enough. After my quick stretch, I'm going to lie back down, lying prone for a quick swim. I'm going to start nice and slow, nice and easy. Opposing arm and leg reaches up, trying to keep my hips level, grounded, stable. Shoulders also stay level as my arm lifts up. Trying to keep that length through my knees. Now I'm going to up my tempo a bit. My head's above water. You could always keep your head down. Strong middle, strong two-way stretch. Do this to stretch and lengthen your back. Now I'm going to press up into a plank push-up position. Lift one leg up as I rock back, and then lower it to meet my standing leg as I rock forward. was leg pull back. Now transition to leg pull front. On my tabletop, open chest. Now kick one leg up and the other leg. Trying to again keep my hips stable. Strong center, 2 arms reaching, chest opening. Pause, take a moment to lean back, open my chest up. Then I'll transition to kneeling side kicks. Find my side plank and my bottom waist, even sides. I'll just take a couple times to circle my top leg. Bottom hip is drawing under, stacking my shoulders. And then I'll take a bicycle here. Again, really feeling the air, feeling that connection, how my foot connects all the way up into my abdomen, all the way up into the base of my skull. Take a moment to stretch my front spine with a half bow pose. Head back, throat back, chest open. Such a great stretch. Moving on to side 2. Notice my top hand is pressing down onto my ear, and I press my head back up into my top hand. That just gives your neck a little bit of a awareness. So I'm lengthening and I'm strengthening the sides of my neck, throat. I'm pushing down into my side skull as I lift back up into the side of my hand. It's a nice variation to add here in your side kicks. And then of course my bicycle. I get that nice stretch, bending the top knee, kicking back, lengthening my side body, and breathing into the back body to come back all the way up. Okay, continuing with my side bends. I'm going to lower down with control and lift up and over like a rainbow. Bottom hip lifts the top hip. Hug my inner thighs, squeeze them together, and stay for the last one. Find a little more juice out of that stretch. Really lengthen, hug my middle. And then I'll transition side 2. Place my hand, draw my bottom shoulder back. Being aware of that bottom shoulder. It's a sneaky thing. It likes to sneak forward. Notice how my knees bend as I go down and they lengthen as I come up. And again, I'm just juicing this stretch a little longer. Find a pull to my center and then gently have a seat. Swing my legs around. Continue with my favorite posture or movement in Pilates, the boomerang. Notice my legs are crossed. I open, recross, roll up to my teaser. Float my arms back and stretch up and over my thighs. Find my teaser with my legs crossed. Roll up, over, open, close. Find that recross. Roll to come up, teaser. Find that bind to open my chest and stretch. Just 2 more times. Teaser to roll back, open, close. Feel that movement at your hips. There's my crazy husband. Such a great exercise. The boomerang. What a great name, boomerang. And there's Pepper, getting into action. One last final stretch there, and then I'll continue with my seal. Loop my hands inside my shins and wrap to the outside of my ankles. Take 3 beats, roll it back, lift it up, 3 beats, roll it back, and begin again. Trying to again enhance that C curve, enhance the width and by sacrum, low back, mid back, upper back. Feel that movement, that opening in my pelvis as I work my 2 pelvic calves with those beats. And I'm going to try to roll all the way up to standing. I'll try one more time here. Press down to lift up. And I did it. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. See you next time.